Hello everyone and welcome. This is Christine with Powder Crafts, and today I am going to be making 5 cards with things of randomness that I have hanging out. So the things that I'm going to be using to make these cards would be like this packet here. This contains images that I have colored and just not done anything with. There are all kinds of things in here. So I'll be using these images. I also have just some random embellishments. So we'll might be digging into here. This box contains just like random scraps of paper. Box, I mean, it's a bag. You all know what I mean. So it has just like random pieces of, you know, pattern paper, things that are already cut out, ready to go. So we're gonna see if we can use up any of this stuff today. And the pattern paper I am using is gonna come out of this little crate. This is the little crate that I use. So like 5 scrap paper. I usually cut things down into a couple of different sizes. This would be like big enough for an entire card front. Most of these would have come from like scraps of 12 by 12 paper. And then I have some that are cut down that I used a stitched rectangle die with. This I did do just some practicing with some clouds on some watercolor paper. So if the scrap is big enough for that, usually I do that. Again, a lot of those are probably 12 by 12 paper. And then I use another stitched rectangle die, and I have all of these. There's some patterns in there. So I want to try to use some of this stuff up. I find it sometimes very overwhelming when I have a bunch of stuff that just sits here in these bins. So my challenge to myself is to make 5 cards, at least today, and I'm hoping to do this maybe once a week, where I use stuff that is all ready to go. So I'm going to cut some card bases, and you won't have to wait because this is a video, but I'll be back. Okay, so I didn't even have to cut down my card bases because I already had some card bases cut. So I just grabbed the first 5 pieces that were on top of the pile where I keep the thicker weight cardstock. And right now I'm going through the larger pieces of scrap papers that I have that will fit a full front of a card. And I'm just kind of matching the pattern paper to my cardstocks. Now I'm kind of grabbing these smaller ones, like maybe I could use these for a mat. I don't use as much on these 5 cards as I was hoping I would, but at least it's a start. It's a beginning. It's a thought process. So this first one here, I'm using this light purple card base and this heart pattern paper. And honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing with these cards. I'm just kind of looking at what's available, what do I have, and then hoping something comes to me while I'm in this process. And I did speed this video up, but you will still see there's times of hesitation, like what am I doing? So ultimately, I end up deciding to just use this red. It's kind of like a maroonish color. It's a mini scallop circle. It kind of matches that little red heart that's there on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. And then I find one of these images that I think will go well with that. And I go ahead and put that one on the card. So for this card here, I'm just grabbing a little strip. I have a bunch of these strips also cut out. So I went ahead and grabbed one of those. And I do end up using this image here of this like little Yeti. And I'm just kind of seeing if there's anything else I want to add to it. And I go ahead and just put that aside. So basically what I'm doing right now is just kind of getting a few things together. I don't really add too much later. So what you see me pull is what I'm going to use, and then we'll go ahead and put these cards together. So for this striped card here, I decided maybe I wanted to use a background. It would be good to use some of these grassy border strips that I have. So I couldn't really find a background that I wanted, so I decided to use black, and I'm going to pretend it's a night sky. I know I have some Halloween characters in here. That yellow strip has stars on it, and I decided I can cut that paper down, like cut the stars out and use it for the sky. So moving on to my next card with this greenish card base, I decided I'm going to use a similar color tag. And it's kind of a big tag, so I want to make sure that I have something else on there. So I'm kind of looking for some pattern paper that's not too busy, but also matches the main panel. I do end up settling for this blue with white polka dots. And now let's see what kind of image I want to put on there. There's a lot of maybe, could be. I might use that cat, so I kind of leave it so I know exactly where it is, but I'm not sure at this point. Now, this pattern paper I thought was really pretty, but I kind of got stuck. I'm kind of flipping through all these pieces I have and what would kind of go with it, and this one was difficult. I do end up just changing out that pattern paper because I did time, I didn't time myself, but I didn't want to spend more than an hour making these cards. So I decided I'm going to use a solid background and bring back that heart pattern paper in a smaller size. Grab that little kitty because I just think he is so adorable. And we're going to kind of just go from there. And I will go through my scraps and see if there's anything else I want to use. I do pull out this banner that I can put the sentiment on. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now this is the part where I'm just going to kind of put them all together. So this part goes really quick because I don't really add too much more than what you already saw me pick out. I do grab sentiments from other stamp sets, so you will see some sentiments come in at the end. Again, I didn't really have a game plan for this, so you're just kind of seeing exactly how it all came together. It's just sit down, here's some stuff, here's some paper, let's put some cards together. I don't really want to grab too much from anywhere else because I really want to use this stuff up. It just sits there and looks at me, and I look at it and I'm like, I know I need to use you, but there's all this other cool stuff. So I've decided I really need to commit to doing it. So here we are. So I'm going to fussy cut out a bunch of little stars for my background. Now there's not a lot of like full-size stars on this scrap piece of paper, so I do even cut the ones that have some edging, like you saw that over there, and then I just use them for the edges on this piece of paper. So now that I have all the stars cut out that I think I'm going to use, I'm going to go ahead and just use some Tombow Mono liquid adhesive and add those on. And you see, like with the ones that have just a straight edge, I just make sure it goes on the edge of the paper so you don't even know. I did tend to use a little too much glue on here, so just next time I know I probably don't need so much. So now I got these two pieces of grassy border, so I'm just adding some liquid adhesive to the piece that has the taller grass and adding the piece that has the shorter grass on top. Deciding what I want to use for my images while I wait for those stars to kind of dry just a tiny bit. Then we're going to go ahead, add our grass I'll cut those extra pieces off. And at this point, I'm like, oh, I need to know where to put those critters. So I do grab a sentiment to put on here first. And again, I'm just kind of winging it. I didn't really have a game plan in mind. So I do stamp out the sentiment for this card, and now I'm going to go ahead and add my 2 pumpkins and my 2 little critters that are out trick-or-treating. So I decided to move him to the other side just because I'd already put adhesive on him, and that pumpkin, the smaller ones, popped up on adhesive, so I thought it would be cool to have one that's like flat on the card, one that's popped up. The other pumpkin is flat, and so we're going to have this little critter popped up. It worked out. I still love it. So moving on to the next card, I'm just going to add this pattern paper down to the end, kind of like a little floor for her or a rug. And we'll go ahead and put the main panel down. I do grab some ribbon because it is a tag and I love to have ribbon on my tags. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down with some foam tape, because once you add ribbon to the back of a tag, it does not lay flat. So I pop that up on some foam tape, and we're going to go ahead and add our little girl. I do decide to bring our little kitty in because I just think that look on that cat is so funny, especially given the sentiment I am going to use on this card. So trim off some of that excess ribbon, and moving on to our last card as far as assembly, then I'll just kind of bring in some sentiments and these cards will be done for today. So matting my papers, grabbing my little kitties, and again, I don't know where this cat needs to be on this strip, so I'm going to go ahead and do the sentiment now. And it says, have a perfect birthday. So I thought that was perfect for this little kitty. So I try to put this on here so it's centered, but my little cat just is going to cover the birthday, or it's going to hang too much off. So I move it all the way to the left so that just a little bit of the cat hangs off. And now I'm going to go ahead and just finish up some of the sentiments. So for this card, the sentiment, I wanted it to be on the tag, but it didn't fit. So I just grabbed a circle from my little stash of stuff, stamped the sentiment, and popped that up on some foam tape. And again, for this one with the Yeti, I'm going to be putting another sentiment right there in the center. It says, "You're my beast friend." And I'm not going to put a sentiment on this one. I just think those hearts are so pretty. And that's it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more and you're not already, hit that subscribe button. But until next time, everyone, bye.